One of the clearest examples was the strict regulation of meat consumption. According to Christian doctrine, Fridays, along with Lent and other holy days, were days of fasting from meat. But fasting didn't necessarily mean going hungry. It meant turning to alternatives, most famously, fish.
For peasants, this often meant salted or dried fish preserved in barrels for the long haul from coastal fisheries. It wasn't glamorous, but it fulfilled the requirement of abstaining from meat. Wealthier households, however, had access to a staggering variety of aquatic life. Freshwater pike, carp and eels from rivers, as well as herring, cod and sturgeon brought inland from the sea.
The wealthy even dined on delicacies like oysters and lamprey, considered luxuries at the medieval table. Monasteries bound by the strictest fasting rules became centers of fish production. Many babies constructed elaborate fish ponds, ensuring a steady supply year-round. The monks, unsurprisingly, grew creative. They classified certain animals as fish to bend the rules. Beavers, because of their tails, and even barnacle geese, which were said to grow from driftwood on the seashore, were deemed acceptable fasting food. It sounds absurd to us, but it reveals how central faith was to shaping the medieval diet. Fish wasn't merely a religious substitute. It was also a symbol of purity. In a world where fresh meat often spoiled quickly, fish represented the ability to follow divine law while displaying wealth and discipline. Salted herring became a cornerstone of trade, especially in Northern Europe, fueling the prosperity of cities like Lübeck and Bruges. In fact, the medieval economy of entire regions thrived on the need for fish during fasting days. Yet, not everyone enjoyed it. To many peasants, dried herring was monotonous, tough, and sometimes barely edible. For nobles, however, fish became another stage for extravagance. Sauces flavored with exotic spices or sweetened with sugar transformed it into a dish of luxury rather than obligation. The church's dietary laws left no one untouched. Whether you were a ploughman chewing on salted herring or a noble savoring sturgeon glazed with cinnamon, your plate was a reflection of faith. In the Middle Ages, what you ate wasn't just about survival. It was about salvation. If there was one drink that united both peasants and nobles in the Middle Ages, it was ale. Not water, not milk, but ale. The reason was simple. Water was often unsafe to drink. Wells could be contaminated, streams filled with waste, and stagnant ponds carried disease. Brewing ale, however, required boiling water, which killed off harmful bacteria. So whether you were a farmer in a thatched cottage or a baron in a stone hall, ale flowed at your table from dawn to dusk. For peasants, this meant small ale, a weak, low-alcohol brew consumed daily, even by children. It was nourishing, hydrating, and safer than the village. Well, families brewed it at home, often with whatever grains were available. It wasn't glamorous, but it kept thirst at bay. Brewing was usually women's work. Alewives could even earn a living selling their surplus to neighbors, making ale one of the earliest female-dominated trades in medieval society. Nobles, of course, had stronger, richer versions at their feasts. Ale could be dark, thick, and hearty, or flavored with herbs like bog myrtle, yarrow, or heather, in the days before hops became common in Europe. Imported wines also graced noble tables, especially in regions close to trade routes with France, Italy, and Spain. But even in great halls, ale remained a staple, poured from massive pitchers into pewter goblets as minstrels played and jesters entertained. Drinking was more than hydration. It was social glue. Alews dotted villages and towns, serving as the medieval equivalent of the local pub. Here, peasants gathered to gossip, strike deals, or relax after a day in the fields. Laws were even passed to regulate the strength and quality of ale, with official tasters known as ale conners, roaming from tavern to make sure brewers weren't cheating customers.